Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you a couple of my sketchbooks and show you a short demo. So if you guys have ever had trouble of thinking about what to draw, I just have an idea for you that you might want to try. It's definitely not the only idea to try, but it's something that I found to be kind of helpful. So I'm just going to show you two sketchbooks. This is my Tone Tan sketchbook in a 9 by 12 inch size. And then I have another one in an 8.5 by 5.5 inch size. And what I did over this summer was I was kind of having a hard time figuring out what to draw. And I wanted kind of an easy, simple way to draw without having to pick something to draw from life or find a reference photo on the internet, which I do still do those exercises, but I also wanted something that was just totally analog. So what I did was I used this small sketchbook first, and I wrote birds only on the front. And the reason why I wrote birds only was that I decided to use an old calendar of birds. And these are images that are too big that I didn't want to fit in my sketchbook because they would have been too big. But I just cut out, you can see there that it is in fact a calendar. And these ones, I prefer to use this big one, so I sacrificed those poor little birds so that I could use this big one. But I just cut out all these little images or tore them. It didn't really matter. I didn't care about having nice, neat edges. And I cut these out. And then obviously there's much smaller ones. And I used the small ones and I glued them down in my sketchbook. I'll show you that. And on here I wrote birds only, but that was just for me to simplify it even more so that I didn't have to think about what subject to draw. I just already knew there's birds in here and only birds. Of course, you can pick any subject that you want, and you don't even have to make it birds only. I was just trying to make it easy, but let's see. Oh, that's just some stuff. Okay. But anyways, this is also a good way to use up a sketchbook if you have trouble filling one and it bothers you when they're partially filled. This is a good way to use your extra sketchbooks and just kind of keep it dedicated to this practice. But what I first started using this sketchbook for was little gouache birds. You can see there and there. And this is where I had started gluing them down. And I painted it first. But I don't know. I think that was still too much work. I didn't want to always do that. And I just kept this book by the couch and the TV. So I didn't really want to have paint and water and brushes and paper towels and all of that stuff. So I stopped doing the gouache birds and decided I was just going to draw them. So here I started to glue them all in. And this book is completed. It does have every bird is drawn, but I didn't glue down a bird and then immediately draw it, and then glue down a bird and immediately draw it. What I did was I went through several pages and glued all the pictures in first, so all this was blank, so that I wouldn't have to create extra work for myself. The birds were already in there, and I just had to pick up the book and draw the next bird. And then also what I had with it was I picked a microfine brush sign pen by Pentel. I don't know if you can see that tiny nib or brush. It's tiny and it's like really flexible. And then later on I decided to add shading with this water brush because this ink is water soluble. So if you want to add shading to it, just make sure it's a water soluble pen. And I used a brush pen because it's a little bit harder to control, and I just wanted to kind of be okay with any quote unquote mistakes, or I don't know. I just wanted to not see here I was doing pencil. I didn't want to do pencil first because it's a sketchbook with stuck down birds. It's not finished work. So I just decided to use a brush pen, and then I didn't even get to the water pen till quite a bit later. And then I also eventually started adding colored pencils on top. So I'll just show you a few of these. And here, when I first started, I had been using a larger brush pen, and I'm not sure, I don't even know which one it was, but I didn't really like how chunky they were looking, and see, you know, they look kind of crazy, but I didn't really care. The point was just to get drawing. And I didn't choose the birds based on whether I liked the bird or if I thought it was going to be easy to draw or hard to draw. I just stuck it down randomly. And so here I'm still using the thick brush pen. Still using the thick brush pen. And, you know, they're not very good, but it was really fun to do. And then here, I think I'm getting closer. Oh no, these are the Arteza brush pens, and I really didn't like using those for this technique because those, I think they don't release the watercolor fast enough, and so it was just becoming this super wide dry brush effect, which didn't work for what I wanted it to do. Okay, so this page is where I had finally purchased the Pentel brush pen in the extra fine, and this is in black, and they do have, I think, 11 other colors, and I do have a gray one and a brown one. I do think the black works better for shading than those two colors. Those didn't seem to move quite as easily, but they still do move, so those are perfectly fine. I just wanted a few other colors. So here is where I started using the water brush. I drew the bird first and then just activated where I thought the shading was in the picture. And I wasn't trying to be super accurate. Here's the first bird that I used colored pencil with. And with that one, I drew the bird first, water activated the ink, let that dry, because this is not mixed media paper, so it really can't handle a lot of water. So you let it dry, and then I put colored pencil over the top, and I thought that was a fun look too. So these ones are just more shading. Here's another one with colored pencil on top. But at first, I really didn't care much about the shading or the colored pencils. But as I started to do this more and more, I got more comfortable with the drawing, and the hesitation to draw was kind of gone. So then I did feel like I wanted to add some shading and color, but you definitely don't have to. These all have color on them as well. And then I did start writing down notes of the process just in case, you know, I went back later and forgot how I got this technique. But you don't have to take notes. There's another colored pencil one. This one I didn't shade at all, but it looks really crazy, so that's probably why I didn't shade it. This one was, I had my husband try it, so that's his bird. He wasn't super into it. I still think he's cute though. So they all kind of look the same. But it was a really fun thing to do. I liked it. And I know you can use pictures on your phone, and I do that also, but for some reason this felt easier to me, just to have the pictures glued down in a book. It's just there, and I mean, you can compare if you want to, if you wanted to start critiquing yourself to see how accurate you were or something, but I wasn't really trying to do that. And then what I also liked about this is after I drew so many birds, I did kind of start to notice the similarities between the bird varieties, or the differences. So, you know, so many times after I drew like its head or its beak or something, then I just sort of knew, like by the time I got to the next one, it was more muscle memory about how a bird's beak and head and over its back start to look. So that was kind of a fun side effect that I didn't expect. And some of them are a little more complicated pictures, but I just tried it anyway. This one doesn't, I don't know why I forgot his back wing there, but little chickadees. I love chickadees. That's what's good about this brush pen here. You'll see, like, it's got a pretty fine tip, so you can get a lot of the small detail, but then if you press a little harder, you can really get solid color in there pretty quickly. And later in the video, I'll show you a short demo and I'll kind of show you what it looked like when I was doing it. And these only took a few minutes each one. And sometimes I would draw one, sometimes I'd draw 4 or 5 at a time. Just kind of depended how much time I had or what kind of mood I was in or something. That's an Arteza brush pen again. These ones have more of the shading with the water brush. This one I wrote more notes. Here I practiced. I was kind of unsure about how to draw this head since there wasn't a lot of contrast behind it, and so I practiced it a little bit before I did the final version over here. This was another Arteza brush pen, so you can kind of see the difference. It still looks okay, but it's just not as crisp, and it was a little bit harder to get the detail, and I wasn't trying to get hyper detailed, but I wanted more detail than that. Or these. Oh, look at that little sad one. And then this was just before I decided to dedicate this sketchbook to the birds. Okay, so I ended up filling this whole sketchbook with that technique, if you want to call it a technique. It's not really a technique. But so then what I did decide was I wanted to use a little bit bigger one, because sometimes when I would be on this side, this spiral was kind of annoying for my hand. I could do it, but sometimes I'd have to rest my hand on the spiral. So I decided to get a bigger one. And this is the bigger one. And I don't have as much done in here. And then here, I did definitely have more room. I could put 3. And obviously on this side, since I'm right-handed, the spiral didn't bother me. But then I decided I was going to try a little bit of doing the same technique before with the ink and the water brush. And then I decided to do a little gouache version. And that was fun too. I think that was my aim here. Eventually I might do a gouache bird. But I may not. I may just do another attempt of this bird with the same exact pen. I don't know. That's what's kind of cool about the bigger notebook. So if you find like you are running out of birds that you stuck down or whatever your subject is, just draw it again, you know. So here I did the same thing. This time I included a little bit of the flower, and then I did another gouache bird there, included the flower here, but just one of them. But I still have room to do it again. And then this one I also started experimenting with putting the birds horizontally on the paper, which took out the problem of the spiral altogether. This is, I haven't done this one yet. I did these with room to do more. And if you wanted to, you could expand it. If you don't want to redraw the same bird with the same materials, you could do a gouache bird, or you could do it in pencil or charcoal or whatever you want. So this is another sideways one. But anyway, the calendars are really neat. That one, I believe, was an Audubon calendar, and those are really well done. The pictures are high quality, and there's several pictures. Each day of the month has a bird above it, and that's how I have so many of those. And then on the month page, there's the big picture of the bird. But you can use any calendar you want. And then here I had wrote gouache, so I could do gouache birds. This is another sideways one. That's what was nice about this bigger sketchbook too. I could use the larger pictures in it. And then I started to branch out because eventually I don't know if I got tired of drawing the birds or maybe I just got braver or something. I don't know. So then I started printing pictures from my phone. So I could have used my phone and just drew and painted these, but I just liked doing it in the sketchbook with the actual printout so much that I just, in my iPad on Procreate, I just opened a document page and selected photos out of my phone that I liked and shrunk them down, fit as many as I could on a page, and then I started gluing those in the book. This picture is actually a photo from my son. So here I decided to do a little value study, and then I did a gouache and colored pencil painting after that. And if you're on my Instagram, you probably saw this one on there. This, I don't know what's going on there. I think I must have just been experimenting with my pen. And then same thing here. I glued these down. And then I do have sticker paper, so some of them I printed on sticker paper, so I didn't even have to use a glue stick, and that is very handy. And I did a value study and then a gouache and colored pencil painting, same thing with this one. And then this one I put them in the middle so that I could draw them on both sides. These are the pictures, obviously, and these are the drawings. This is gouache and colored pencil. This is just the brush pen and the water brush. But I could add colored pencil on top of that if I want to. And that's what's neat about this technique too, is I can come back to this later. If I'm not sure what to do, I can come back and add a bit more to this or add a bit more to this one. Try it again. These are the glued down ones. Haven't done these yet. More of those. That's not a photo at all. Some eggs. This is my husband on a camping trip. And then here I used a fine liner instead of the brush pen. So you don't have to use the brush pen. What I liked about the brush pen was it draws so quickly and expressively that it was just kind of a fun tool to start out with. But I have branched out to other pens and markers and pencils if I was getting a little bored with that. And obviously this book isn't just birds anymore. I just kind of put everything in it. This is eggs, and also that's graphite. I don't think I find it as fun to do it with the graphite, but I'll probably do the brush pen or a fine liner or something in there, or maybe I'll use the gouache. I don't know. It's kind of, the opportunities are endless. Here's some more. All of these I've just glued in so that in the future I can draw them. And then I do sometimes put things from Instagram on that I like this one is a painting from the 1800s, or maybe it's the 1900s. I don't know. And I just wanted to do a little study of that, and I wanted to do a study of this orange. Some more nature scenes. More nature. Another one, no, both of these are from Instagram that I just wanted to do studies of. And then also, you wouldn't have to do the whole image if that seemed overwhelming. You could just do, just do the little teacup over here. or just do this one flower. It doesn't matter. These are more pictures from my phone, and then that's it. All right, so now it's time for the short demo. We're going to draw these tulips right here. This is a picture from my phone at a little public garden near my house. So let's just go for it. So sometimes I'll go ahead and draw the border. I don't always do that. And I don't make it exact. Probably would be better to make it exact if you want it to look exactly like the photo. But I just kind of want to get the impression here. So here's the little tulip here, and I just kind of start anywhere. Oops. And I don't really care if it's exact to the photo. It's just kind of to get my hand moving. But the more you do it, obviously, the better you get. And if you want to, you can change things. But if you can tell, I don't have like a lot of control with this pen, so you get better at the control, but I haven't done this in a little while, so I am rusty. After I did this a while, I got busy with other things and hadn't done it in a while, but that's what's fun about these is if you already have them stuck in there, the pictures, it's always ready. So if you're not feeling very good or you're not motivated to draw something, but you want to draw something, or maybe let's say you think you need to draw something, this is kind of a fun way to do it. It's kind of hard to see what's going on down here, so I'm probably not going to like get super confused about what's going on in there. And back here, all these little smaller plants kind of look like a mess, so I'm probably just gonna draw just little marks, and I'll activate that later with the brush pen. Let's see. I kind of bounce around a lot. Probably be better if I stayed in one spot, but I don't. And then, let's see, we got another one right here. And like I said, it's definitely probably better to draw from life, like just drawing stuff on your table or your car keys, or even set something up to draw, but sometimes I just don't feel like doing that. And I think any drawing is better than no drawing. And I think there is a place for drawing from reference, and that's okay. But if this isn't something that appeals to you, then that's all right. You can keep drawing from life or draw from the pictures on your phone. You don't have to print them out or use a calendar, like I was saying, or you can use a catalog, junk mail, whatever, and just choose subjects that you personally find interesting. But also don't struggle freaking out about making it the perfect subject or drawing something that you love. Like, it's better just to draw it And then after you draw things so much for a while, you start to develop, or at least I do, an appreciation for that subject. Because sometimes I was not that interested in some of the particular birds, but then the more that I drew them, I was like, oh, I actually like those little guys. So sometimes you just need to get familiar. Okay, so I think maybe we'll draw a little bit of the rock. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now I'm gonna try using the water brush. Oh, whoops. And then there's no rhyme or reason to the shading. I just start wherever I want to. If you have too much water in your brush, just wipe it on a paper towel. And it doesn't have to be, well, it can be as precise or imprecise as you want to the photo. It kind of depends what your goal is. If your goal is to be accurate, then you probably want to draw slower. But if your goal is just to develop a drawing habit, then just kind of go for it, because the more you practice, especially if you do this every day, you're gonna get better at accuracy. There I just dried, it was a little bit too dark, so I took some of it off with my paper towel. But see how easily this brush pen activates with water? It's so fun. So if you were to try to do this with even graphite or something, it would take you a lot longer. And it's just kind of fun. And then here in the background, I'll just kind of use the leftover ink that's on my brush and kind of just dab it in, just to kind of create the effect of the ground or the extra little plants back there, because I don't want those to be in detail anyway. So you can just kind of make whatever kind of marks you want back there. Let's get some shading on these guys. And then these little, there's more tulips in the back of this garden. I forgot some of my horizon line back there. You don't have to include everything in your photo either. Just put the things that you want to put in there. And then I think because this is pretty light over here, I'm not gonna do much over there. I say that and then I put some stuff there. And then, let's see, I think that's about it. That's really as simple as it is. But you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want. So I did that little drawing here, but then up here I decided to do it in gouache and colored pencil. So try this out if you're not sure what to draw or art today, and let me know how it goes. All right, see you next time. Bye.